Welcome everybody to the Captain Spot. I am your host, Justin Freeman, 6 foot 1 inches, 276 pounds of fantasy knowledge. And it's a very special week, guys. It's beach week. I'm here on vacation, so I'm not in my normal studio, but I'm still excited to be talking Monday Night Football with you guys. Got a really cool game this week between the Steelers and the Giants. The game's in the Big Apple. We've got two quarterbacks with a lot of upside. It's really, really interesting. But, hey, if you've gotten here and if you found us here on the Mayo Media Network, that's where you can find me all season long on the Monday Night Football podcast. Make sure you are subscribed here. Make sure you look for my personal YouTube channel, The Captain Spot. Just search that there on YouTube, find that, and then you can subscribe. We'll also put a link there in the show notes. But, guys, we're going to be bringing you Showdown content all season long. So if you like that, and if you want to be talking Monday Night Football, Steelers, Giants, well, look no further. We are going to be looking play-by-play, player-by-player through this slate to make sure we have a good understanding of exactly who is on this slate, what to expect, what the game script looks like. So without further ado, let's head right in where we're talking about a game with a 45.5 point total. That's, kind of right in the middle. That's pretty normal NFL game. This is going to be a significantly lower expectation than what we've looked at for our previous two island games. The Thursday night game between the Chiefs-Texans, that was obviously a shootout. Sunday night game between the Cowboys-Rams, that has a high total as well. But as we're recording this, the slates just dropped. We just got the pricing. We are looking at everything in context of this slate, 45.5 point total. So, right in the middle, right in the sweet spot as far as expectations. We're not looking at a slugfest. We're not looking at fireworks. We're somewhere kind of in the middle. And then it's a 6-point spread. The Steelers, the road team in this contest, are 6-point favorites. So, oftentimes we're looking for home favorites and road dogs, but this time we have a road favorite, which is a little bit interesting. Steelers favored by 6, a team with a strong defense, a team with a capable offense looking to rebound off of last year. We get the return of Ben Roethlisberger. There's a lot of really, really interesting facets about this particular game. So overall, as we're building our lineups, we want to keep that information in mind. We're looking at a game that's not going to get out of hand more than likely in terms of total points scored. We're looking at, not a game that's going to be super low scoring more than likely, but we are looking at a game that the Steelers are going to tend to control the process of this game and the way it pans out. So we're tend to be thinking about game scripts where in the fourth quarter the Giants are likely playing from behind. So with that in mind, we're going to be thinking about our pricing in that way. So let's go quarterback by quarterback and make sure we understand the positions and who's exactly playing in this game. Obviously, the two-star quarterbacks in this game, Ben Roethlisberger and Daniel Jones, very much in contention here. Roethlisberger going to carry a salary tag of $10,200. Daniel Jones only $9,000 on this slate. You could argue that both these guys are underpriced given what their floor-ceiling combination looks like. Daniel Jones obviously has that rushing ability that we're looking for, and he can get his points even as a dog in this contest through a variety of ways. That's going to be something that's really, really attractive to us because in Showdown, remember, we're not chasing 99th percentile outcomes. We're looking for, things that kind of exist maybe right on the 75th percentile, like slightly above median expectation. So, when we're talking about a guy like Daniel Jones with such a high ceiling and a really high floor, we can almost, you can't say anything for certain in Showdown, but we can take a lot of confidence with us that he can be in that optimal lineup. Roethlisberger, probably a little bit lower floor and comparable ceiling, but I think the price tag on these guys is almost backwards. I guess it's the fact that Jones comes in as the underdog, that he's underpriced in this particular contest, but overall, as we're thinking captain spot selection as well, I do want to tell you guys to sort of shy away from the quarterbacks and the captain. I've talked about that on previous shows as well. Make sure we are understanding that quarterbacks don't give us, A, the leverage we're looking for in the captain, and B, they're not typically going to be the highest scoring players on a single slate. They're going to project the highest, but they're not going to be the highest scoring within the slate context usually. So make sure we are understanding that, even when a quarterback has a good game in terms of DraftKings scoring, it's quite often because a receiver had an even better game. So make sure we're thinking about things in that regard. Moving on to the running back position, this is maybe the first slate of the year where we don't really need to go too deep on the running back position. It's important, obviously, for us to know who's playing, but we're looking at two bell cow running backs in this particular game, Saquon Barkley and James Conner. Behind Saquon is Wayne Gallman, and that's it. I mean, there's Deion Lewis, there's Elijah Penny, who plays a fullback running back hybrid role, but it's really Saquon Barkley. I don't think you can consider playing any of the other running backs there in that offense. And then with the Steelers, it's a little bit more complex behind James Conner, but Conner's going to occupy such a large workload in this particular game that it becomes even tough to look past what we're getting there as a floor from Conner. Jalen Samuels and Benny Snell will likely combine to make sort of a task force behind Conner, where Snell will carry the short yardage goal line opportunities should Conner not be on the field due to rest or injury. Jalen Samuels, sort of everything else, the high leverage touches coming out of the backfield in the passing game and that sort of thing. But overall, I'm typically not scared to tell you to fire up two running backs from the same team or even go to some of the second and third options at running back. But on this slate, I don't think we can really be considering a whole lot of those guys at all. We're going to be looking to get diverse in the receiver and tight end position potentially, but this is playing pretty straightforward, where we're really interested in both running backs. We're really interested in both quarterbacks. And so we've got to proceed accordingly. And the price tag there, Conner at $9,600, Saquon at $10,800. And I will tell you, Saquon gives us, last year he had a little bit of a struggle through an injury, and that injury is over with. And I'm expecting big things for Saquon Barkley. He's my favorite captain selection tonight. We'll get into some distributions a little bit later, but overall, just hear me say that I think Saquon's healthy. I think this offense is going to be pretty good, and I'm really interested in getting as much of him in as many ways as possible. Getting into the receiver position for each team, there were a couple of injury notes related to the receiver position. Golden Tate was on the report earlier this week for the New York Giants. For Pittsburgh, Deontay Johnson was on the injury report earlier. There was some serious speculation that he may not play, but he will be playing in this game. So we're pretty much looking at a clean sheet as far as injuries go. So with everybody there in the arsenal for both teams, I think we can pretty much play this pretty true. We're looking at Juju followed by Deontay Johnson as the big 1-2 punch there in Pittsburgh. Behind him is probably going to be Chase Claypool, the rookie. I don't anticipate a big role for Claypool, but keep in mind that within the context of a single game slate, certainly viable. Who I'm really interested in there is Eric Ebron, who's going to carry a $6,400 price tag at tight end. So that's a really interesting way to get a part of that offense. He and Vance McDonald will make sort of the 1-2 there at the tight end position. But overall, I really like Ebron. He's had a lot of positive news coming out of camp. On the other side of the football, at the receiver position, it's really a three-headed monster, and so I had a really tough time differentiating who I think is the better play just straight up in terms of raw projections. So in that case, I tend to flock towards the guy who's the cheaper on the slate. So we're talking about Golden Tate, we're talking about Sterling Shepard, and we're talking about Darius Slayton. And in this case, Sterling Shepard is going to carry a price tag of $7,200, Golden Tate $6,800, but our boy Darius Slayton only down at $5,200. That's criminal. I think that he is just as good as those two guys, and I'm very interested in him at that price. And I should also mention on the Steelers side of the ball that James Washington, $4,600, rounds out sort of a four-wide set there, but I'm not overly interested in Washington. Prefer to play those a little bit more straight up. Now, at the tight end position, obviously Evan Ingram gives us a really interesting way to make additional combinations there on the New York side. Price tag at $6,400, so he's right there in the middle of that receiver group as far as receiving options. And I think I prefer him over the rest of that receiver group based on the fact that he is really dominating the targets in a specific area of the field, and I like that. And that gives us a way to, say, pair him with a Darius Slayton, who are going to win in different areas, and we can take advantage of all of that within the same game script. We want to make sure that our players aren't cannibalizing against each other. So overall, what I'd like to sort of finish with here is a distribution that I work on. I create a lot of simulations. I do 1,000 simulations of each and every game for Showdown or more. Sometimes I do up to 10,000 if I'm feeling a little bit crazy. But let's talk about what we see in our simulations, because what we can gather over the course of a simulation is an idea of exactly what to expect over and over and over again. And instead of on the Showdown where we get one specific outcome, simulation allows us to understand things as a form of a percentage. So Saquon Barkley in this example, getting over 45% of the captain assignments over the course of this game. So that's somebody we got to be really interested in. To me, he's the slam dunk captain on this slate. James Conner coming in after that at just north of 30%. Then a pretty big drop-off after that, followed by Juju, Daniel Jones, Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, and Ben Roethlisberger. So keep in mind, again, that Daniel Jones and Ben Roethlisberger are a couple guys that I'm not particularly interested in the captain spot due to the quarterback position. Now, that's very different when we're looking at the flex position. Daniel Jones and Ben Roethlisberger are the two highest guys I have on the list, followed by Saquon, who obviously is my preferred captain, Sterling Shepard, James Conner, Juju, Golden Tate, Deontay Johnson, Darius Slayton after that. So there's a lot of ways that we can build, guys. I would encourage you to consider building around those two stud running backs, those two-star quarterbacks, and try to figure out the rest there. Let's go pretty cheap there at the receiver position, thinking about guys like Darius Slayton, thinking about guys like Eric Ebron. I like the way that they fill out the rest of that offense. So overall, you got a lot of options. There are some punt plays on this slate. Obviously, keep in mind both defenses, both kickers. There are a lot of different ways. I don't have firm takes usually about kickers and defenses, other than the way that they should strategically be part of your rosters and what they say about the other players in your roster and how they fit together. But overall, they're certainly in play each and every slate for the most part. So you've got the information you need. Hopefully you've enjoyed this content. Make sure that you're subscribing over at the Captain Spot YouTube channel. Just search for Captain Spot. You can find it, or you can find me at cptspot.com. You can find me on Twitter at JustinFreeman18. Big thanks to Pat Mayo, Mayo Media Network. Pleasure to be here, guys. Hope you guys win a lot of money this Monday night. See you soon.